I hello everyone. Good morning. I am in the worst mood
As
because I hate this
evidently,
platform. I can't. We're so sorry we're late. It's my fault. I'm sitting in a room that says But First Coffee
I don't even
Studio.
think it's your fault. I think it's just the stars, maybe the eclipse coming next week.
It has to be that because I promise you, I'm sitting. I've been waiting. I'm this like this. Waiting for you. Not that I was mad, but I was like, oh,
No, I
something must
get
be
it.
going on. And I'm
I was
like,
like,
no.
"Where's John?"
Yeah.
Same. I'm like, okay, but it's very rare that somebody wouldn't say something. So I'm like, "Hello."
Hello. Right. Is something going on? I'm like, oh, she must be coming. She's coming. She's coming. Nope. Here I am in some But First Coffee fake room somewhere in the universe because it was labeled But First Coffee. I was in the But First Coffee room.
Listen,
Jamie is listening. I
changing is
know.
part of the charm.
This just it must be me. I will own it. It must be me,
No,
but I
no,
need
but
this
we
fixed
do have
because
Jamie, our producer, which is more. It is so fun having Jamie and just getting to talk to him behind the scenes, and then
behind the scenes.
people see him in the chat. For some reason, it just makes me feel special. Good
Well, and
morning,
I also
everybody,
like to
and
talk
Jamie.
about him while he's listening. So that makes me
Well,
feel better as well. Because you know why? I am a workplace MVP. That's why.
I kind of love that cup. I am
I mean,
nothing but the Starbucks mermaid today.
I did have the Starbucks earlier, so I am on the road in South Jersey. I'm over by Philadelphia, looking
You dressed
all.
up for your friends.
I did dress up for my friends. You're so good. I dressed up for my friends. I have a meeting this afternoon in Philadelphia at 15th and Market. If anybody's in Philly, come visit, come hang out. I need like a cheerleading section to come and join me at this meeting to impress this really big client that doesn't know yet that they have to hire us. So once they see the
Oh,
throngs of people coming with like
the
signs
throngs.
and music and, all of that will be very helpful.
By the way,
Did you get food? What are you eating?
a lemon loaf.
I had a
Have you ever had
pepita
one?
loaf this morning. The pumpkin pepita. I love that loaf. It is
Love.
10,000 calories, but I love it.
I do hate saying loaf. Makes me feel some kind of way.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna.
how was your week? Have you been traveling this week? What's been your scoop?
No, actually, well, here's the secret. I've been getting swim. I've been taking swim lessons. I've been
Okay,
taking swim lessons
give everybody the context here because you don't know how to swim.
because I know how to swim, but I don't know how to swim. I know how to not drown, right? Like
Got you.
I love swimming and I like going down, but I get embarrassed because I'm like crooked and I don't go very fast. And they're like, "What stroke is that? I've never seen that before." Like,
This is the please don't die stroke. This is that
and
stroke.
I used to do so. The first time I learned swimming, like I used to do triathlons, like way back in the day. And one of the things that's really scary is that they push you, like they'll push you under the water, and it freaked me out. But if I stuck my head out, they wouldn't push me because then I could see them, right? And so
Right.
then I just got really bad at swimming. So but I always, I relaxed. If you're running and then you walk, your brain gets cluttered. If you're biking and it's going too much, you can coast a little bit. If you're skating, you can kick, push, or whatever. But when you're swimming, if you don't swim, you drown. So you just
Yeah.
swim and your brain focuses and it's really relaxing. So I've been getting better swim lessons and it's been so fun. But I'm using all sorts of muscles that I didn't even know I had I didn't even know I had the muscles. Like I'm pretty
But
sure I just use them for swimming.
it's also, by the way, I plugged into an outlet and the outlet doesn't work because nothing's charging. I'm telling you today, what is happening? What is happening?
It's a sign
But
that things are going to go very well at your client. Everything's going poorly now, so that you can
or
to
if it
humble
doesn't,
you.
watch out. Y'all, if it doesn't go well this afternoon, watch the news. Watch the evening news because I'm sure I'll be on there. I will have my phone, my
And your
Michael
pizza
Douglas
and your
falling.
pepito loaf.
This is for all the
You're gonna
pumpkin potato loaves in the
with a
world.
torpedo loaf.
Wait, I have to crawl under the desk. I'll be right back.
You know, when you crawl from, when you come back, maybe if we started with music and dancing, it would put you in a better
Oh,
mood. Do you think?
no, I mean, no, it's not. Okay, this works. Thank God. We are we seeing folks? Hello, everybody. Are we up
Yes.
here and see
There's
comments?
people. There's 9 people. They're not talking to you. They're scared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my
I
God.
don't mean to be scary this morning. I don't mean to be. Maybe it's the tie. Maybe it's like feel very formal.
I
I
think
just
it's
had
because,
friends of mine surprise me, come bum rush into the office here that I didn't know. Friends from the area, like 3 guys just came in and knew I was here and I wasn't going to get to see them, and they all just showed up right before this. So that actually puts me in a great mood. That was awesome to see
that's
them.
good. What
Yes,
about
that was.
here? Maybe, have you heard the new song? Can you hear it? Have you heard it?
I got a lot of thoughts about this. No, I'm not a fan.
Like, did you listen to it?
Yes, yes. Talia sent it to me, and Talia, I don't know if you're here. Talia sent it to me right away, and I was like, "No, I'm sorry, no." I don't like the combative version of Jolene. Basically, Beyonce's version is, "Come at me, girl. Come on, like
Yeah,
I'll take you down." And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm not. I don't need it to be violent.
No,
I like the original, but
no.
teach
We're
their own. I'm
empowered. No, I'm taking her out, and then I'm taking him out, and then the next song
Yeah,
is
I
called
felt like.
Henry. Maybe we should change the name to Henry. Where
But
Henry
I will
at?
also say, contextually, I understand why Beyonce feels like she's got to be more violent because her man has been difficult for her. And so
Yeah,
she does feel
with the
like
good hair.
with the good hair.
If you remember,
Don't forget Becky. Don't
with the good
forget
hair.
Becky. Mm-hmm.
Listen,
That was
I am.
Lemonade was an album, just so you know.
I think it's saying a lot, and I think it's kind of helpful. It actually segues into what we're going to talk about because things have changed. Like
Very much
sourcing
so.
has changed, people have changed, the world of sourcing has changed. I don't know why people try to act like it's some new thing. Even with like using AI and all of the
Yeah.
tools to automate, it's still the hard part is still the hard part of knowing
I want to
where
know,
to go.
are you thinking that people feel like now that there's, because this is a conversation, are you feeling like people are saying, okay, now that there's AI, I can source easier? Are you
That's what
finding
people are
that that's
trying to say, and they're
yeah,
selling it as like sourcing as a service through using
yes.
AI, which it cannot be a person. It cannot be a person. Somebody had a post yesterday that was so funny. It was asking Chat GPT to like make a picture, and it's like, okay, not so, angry, not so spring, not so this. And it got down to the point where it's like, okay, I'm gonna need a person to fix this.
Right.
I mean,
I
we taught people software. We haven't taught people how to communicate with people.
so since you are not that and I want to make sure people know, right? So Jackie and I have been in the talent acquisition recruitment space for some time.
Listen, I'm so embarrassed. Wait, hold on. Hold on. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. I didn't even tell anybody. You're going to die. I got a congratulatory letter from LinkedIn this week celebrating me for my 18 years as a member of LinkedIn. And right after that, someone said, "Hey, can you connect me with this person?" And I was like, "I don't know this person. It's been 18 years." They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my bad."
Yeah.
So
Oh
we've
my
been in the game for a long time. And I
long
started
time.
before then.
Now, and actually LinkedIn is a great sort of level set. LinkedIn for us, when that really started to hit its stride, that was a game changer for us in
Yes.
terms of how we sourced. Would
Yes.
you agree with that? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So how would somebody who says, well, wait a minute, we changed how we sourced once we had LinkedIn, an online tool. Now you're saying, Jackie, that we have AI, which isn't going to necessarily fix things the way that perhaps we saw LinkedIn fixing things. So what's your problem?
Right. Right.
Right? Like, so
Right.
what's your problem? Why aren't you so nice about AI as we were, as based on how we saw, how well we saw LinkedIn helping us?
Like I don't mind. It's just funny because LinkedIn is still doing the work. I know people feel some kind of way about LinkedIn. You
Some
really
kind of
taking credit. You're saying, "Oh, I know how to source it." No, you don't. You still have to use LinkedIn to source things you don't know how to source. Not saying
yes.
that it's
Yes.
not a repository. I'm just saying
Correct.
if you're going to the same well,
So here's where we're going to get into trouble. So let's start.
mm,
Let's start. How do you define sourcing?
oh, so
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
getting candidates. Is there a bigger definition? Get some. Get you
I
some.
I wish I should put them into the chat. I mean, some of the definitions for sourcing are literally like 4 or 5 sentences long. Like it makes a paragraph, and I'm like, I that sounds awfully complex to me as in terms of what sourcing is,
I
other
mean,
than candidates.
it used to be. I used to charge like $250 a source because I was vetting the candidate. Like sourcing should be vetting the candidate.
Yes.
It's not just looking and trying to add job title or skills with the job description. Like you should do a little bit different, I would hope, of a vetting process so that you can just because and here's the thing. We used to source candidates and then the recruiter would start with smiling and dialing. That's all you would do.
Yes.
Now people don't even talk on the phone.
They don't talk on the phone,
They've
and they want
never
to know why email doesn't work.
right.
Why isn't it working? They're not responding to me because it's a throwaway form of
I
communication. I
was
can delete it.
so embarrassed this week. I sent out an email to some candidates and I used to have this thing with IT where I had a different email address because I was trying to do a big source and I wanted to know that they came and did keep them from my inbox. So I
Yeah.
forgot it went from that inbox. That one's been shut down. And so I was lucky. I had to, everybody was sending them and it was bouncing back. But what is interesting is that people were reaching out to me on LinkedIn, afraid to open the email because it bounced back. It was like, wow. So they're really trusting. They had to take a little bit of extra effort and extra steps. I felt really bad. So it's like, don't do that. If you're that's what you're doing, don't do that.
I just wanted to test the
Grandpa, please get off the computer,
grandma.
Grandpa.
Yes, smiling and dialing. I mean,
He's literally put himself. He's so dumb. You want my Brooke Shields AARP again?
you
So dumb.
is I mean, I just cracked myself up. I
Can someone give John
just
some ziti?
I just want to know what is in this. You are the real MVP. Trick. I am a workplace MVP.
Are you gonna see your mother?
I am tonight. Yeah,
See
yeah,
your mother. Okay.
yeah.
Get her to make you some food.
I
You'll feel better.
I have to try to figure out how I'm packing it all. I think I got meatloaf frozen and some other foods
Got some
frozen.
meatloaf.
Yeah, because I don't get that at home. I can't make it. I can't make it. Can't make it. I have lots of stories to tell about this past weekend, actually. But let me come back to what you said. The smiling and dialing, the sourcing bit. So I want to say, thank you, Sarah. I want to say that when LinkedIn came out, I'll say when it really started to push forward. Obviously, it had been out for a little bit before everyone got on it. So we had a critical mass, like a volume of people to be able to use as a candidate pool, potential candidate pool. We had to do like specific types of searches on there. We had to be
A book of lists. Remember before that when we got the book of lists?
Yes, right. People don't know. I mean, honestly, there are people that don't know about this, right? And of course, we've heard these like Boolean searches and that kind of stuff as well. And I'm not belittling that. I mean, how many hours did we spend doing those kinds of
Bowling, bowling, bowling.
Sing that song instead. That's the song. Sing that song instead. This is where, honestly, the history, and it's out there. And make sure, for those of you who are listening, if you are not connected in any way to Jerry Crispin, this is the time to do so. Jerry has put together a history of recruitment, of talent acquisition that is fantastic. And it really helps give context to where we were and where we've gotten to, so that you really can understand. One of the things we're talking about today is the how of sourcing. It really helps you sort of see the progression and understand how things evolved from this to this to this. But the thread through it all is it still requires some level of human interaction. Yes, we may have gotten good at culling resources like to find candidates, but if you think I'm just going to send you a cold email and say, "Dear Jackie, we think you'd be wonderful for this, lemon loaf production job," that
Listen, I've lost so much weight. I only have a certain amount of calories. I gotta pack them in.
You do have to pack them in, and you have lost. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Well, it's not because of the lemon loaf.
We're going to do a Vegas photo shoot for But First Coffee from the pool in our swimsuits. So it's going to be spicy But First Coffee, which I like.
I think what's funny for people, they don't realize, like, when we started getting into sourcing, it was getting into like being a hacker. It was like an ethical hacker at the time. That's what it felt like.
Yes.
Like we were breaking into systems. I can't tell you, it used to go into people's, remember when people used to have intranets?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do people still have them? I think they're called like communities now.
Yeah, Lockheed and some of the Department of Defense contractors still have it. Oh, yeah.
We used to have like intranets. And when on the intranet, they were always wide open because nobody had them secure, because who was going to try to go into their system? Well, the sourcers were. So we could find a phone list so Jackie, we could call your people. I mean, I don't think people realize, and I hate to be like, oh, we went up, uphill both ways, blah, blah, blah. But
we did.
And we used to have to do it in person, and we used to smile and dial. We used to dial around, used to call. You would figure out how to do it. Remember the woman who used to teach people phone sourcing? I wonder if she still does that.
Oh my gosh.
Do they still do that now? Remember her?
Yes. What was her name? Somebody put it in the chat, please, if you know who we're talking about.
I know you know who she is. Yeah.
I know.
Teach phone sourcing.
Yes.
And it wasn't that long ago. I mean, at least as of 10 years ago, she was 10 years ago, phone sourcing. And like people don't even realize. And now the thing is, it's like people learned how to do sourcing poorly. And now with AI, they're just learning how to do it faster, to be poorer, faster. They're doing bad work, automated bad work, fast.
I would say to you, I still think there's great value in individuals. So if you are in the recruiting space and you are just working active candidates, that means these candidates who have applied for the job, right? That's the active pool. They've actively said, hey, I'm interested. If that's all you're working, you may not fully appreciate some of what we're talking about this morning. I'm not meaning that in a bad way. You just don't fully appreciate it because on the passive side of things, the mystery, right? The hunt of finding individuals. Listen, I'm old school, right? I have a couple of years on Jackie. And I know
literally too.
Literally,
you can tell by the moisture.
You can tell by my face. Look at this thing hanging. Look at these jowls.
The jowls. Are you gonna use a jowl?
Look at this. I'm a hound dog. Boo! Look at this. So we seriously, when we had to do, it was called headhunting. When early on, right, we were headhunters.
Yeah.
We had to find people that way. We don't like that term now, but we feel so now we're passive sourcers. Okay, sleep better tonight. Right.
Right. I mean, literally, because there was no place to find them. We had to do it in person. Right. We actually used to network in person. And I think at the end of the day, I appreciate that recruiting is a separate function I
Yes.
appreciate having sourcers to be able to do it. I don't like to think that sourcers are now used car salesmen of recruiting. Like you
Yes.
have to, but people aren't finding out. I don't hear as much as people being invited to people's weddings or kids' graduations, like we used to hear. Like we used
Yeah.
to build those relationships because it's done all online. Um,
There
I
was
have to
something
tell
really
you,
valuable about that, the Rolodex, because that
yes,
made things a little bit more. And those who don't know what that is, please Google Rolodex. You'll see what we mean. But it is a little different. I feel like having that on my desk and sort of rifling through the cards, right, as you were looking for who would be a
that's
good
right.
connection for me to look, not necessarily that that person is the one that I might hire, but I want to talk to them about someone
Yes.
they may know who I
And
could,
what's going on in the industry right now, and have they heard anything? I
when
find
everything
it
is
really,
harder. I think it's not as, we don't see it as in the same way when it's all just stored in here,
no, no, no.
right?
And it makes it easier. I there is a part that I will tell you something that was like so telling to me, and I was so proud as a manager because at Textio we're all remote, and when we got in person, everybody was like, I want to meet Rachel Couples because they built a relationship with Rachel Couples
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they knew. And even at the end, she was always the best because she would say, do you want me to call that? Like, I'll call them. I'll be like, oh, we're going to have to reject her or something. And she would always feel like, no, I feel fine. And that was the part of the job that I hated the most.
Yeah.
And she would
Yeah.
always be like, no, because she started the relationship and knew that she could have those conversations and it would make people feel some kind of way. And we don't look at the context. We're always talking about psychological safety at work. We don't talk about the psychological safety through the sourcing process. How are we making the candidate feel that they can share information with us? And are we asking the right questions to show that we care about them as a person and not a title?
Yeah. Yes. And I think that part of that is uncomfortable still for plenty of people who don't want that kind of relational interaction. They don't. I mean, we still deal in a world where people want to stay behind the screen. Like they want to stay one step removed. I don't want to have that kind of interaction, or I'll just chat with the person online somehow. But I don't want to have them, sit in front of me, even by video. That there's a distance there that I think people are growing too accustomed to, and
Well,
that's
there's the opposite of that too. I had 50 people reach out to me on LinkedIn, most of which I hadn't responded to because I
yeah.
don't know. Like, I'm like, they
But
send
that's
me
still
these reasons
online.
that their thing, it is still online. But it is interesting. I mean, I would be like, you have to understand, I appreciate that, but I'm looking for the person who is fit for this job. Be fit for the job. Let me find you. And they say that about like
Yes.
if you want to work at a FANG company, they're like, do not apply. Make yourself discoverable. Here are the things that people are looking for. And I feel like that would be more helpful than teaching candidates how to get sourced or how to get past the ATS, which isn't true, or how to do all these other things, or how to apply in bulk, which isn't helpful, but how to get found by the right companies that you're looking for.
And part of that is the learned skill of sourcing. Actually go, if you're going to use online, which I think, I mean, obviously you have to, there's no way around it, then that's where I think you let AI be a resource for you. So start, if you have, chat GPT or the like, start there to say basics. First of all, read as much as you ask about sourcing there. Let some content be delivered for you, but then use it as a tool to ask it to help you build Boolean strings as an example. Help me build, this is what I'm looking for. What's a string that I can use to start doing some search?
Right.
Let it help you do that, but don't just cut and paste. I know you will, but meaning read what's actually there. Learn what the construct is. To me, it reminds me of, and some people know this. My undergrad major was English, and so I have a great appreciation of and my minor was communication and education, like the structure of language, how we communicate with one another. So I appreciate grammar. and like old school diagramming sentences and such, because I want to understand why this flow works. Why does the way this sentence construct is put together, why is it that way as opposed to another way? Well, here's why. Here's the pieces. I think it's the same thing when you're doing those kinds of strings. Look at it, learn what it's telling you as to why this way may be better than another way. And you're going to have to test them so you can see the difference. But don't just cut and paste blindly and not have any understanding of what's there. Use the AI tools to help you as a sourcer learn as much as it is to do some of that searching. I think that's a how that you could start today. You can put that into place today.
And I think sourcing is really important. They think that back in the day, it was like, oh, we don't need sourcers because of everybody going online. But you really do.
You really
need
do
to be able to find these places, because there are so many groups that are nuanced, especially if you're looking for candidates that aren't frequently found. I look outside of LinkedIn. I am a customer. I love LinkedIn. I mean, obviously some of you are watching us on LinkedIn. It's my favorite social media post, even though they've been doing that thing that people do and not sharing my posts. It's weird. They're doing that thing that people do on social media. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I see you.
But
but I do think that you have to look at other groups. There's other places and other websites and other people that can help you with that networking, like talking about the Rolodex. Like, I talked to the leader of Black Men in Tech of what's going on within the industry to send me out to his network, who I'm not going to find on LinkedIn.
That's right.
I'm not connected. They're not my third group.
That's right.
I can't send email. I don't want to waste it on those types of things on LinkedIn to start conversations. I want to use them for real candidates, but I still want to have it. Or I still, I love Slack channels. I still am a member of several different Slack groups.
What a great resource.
You have to be able to reach out.
What a great resource to source from, Slack. That's a great one to mention.
And Phantom Buster, you can scan the channel. It'll put them on a CSV file, all of the names and what title they put in there. Now, some of the titles they put in there are like not real.
Not real.
I wish I could source off of Reddit. If someone could teach me how to source off of Reddit, that would be great.
Reddit is a great one too, but you know what? It's so funny that we're saying these things, because I don't think people, it's certainly to me not as much of a known factor that these platforms can be one that can be sourceable. Reddit, Slack, Teams channels. There are ways, because some of those are open. I know we think everything there, you can search them, just like you were talking before about, other open sources. Slack is a great example of that. You can find groups of people and get in there and start to source based on some of the titles, but also some of the constructs of those groups in terms of membership. Like, it's doable. We are still trending. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to keep hammering it. We're still trending at about 62% of all filled jobs. Now, this is across the board. Of all filled jobs are done by passive sourcing right now than active sourcing. 62% of all roles are done by passive sourcing. How could we say that that's an approach to sourcing isn't valuable when it's like almost 2/3 of roles being filled are happening this way? We can't say no. We have to look to do it and do it well.
I have been, and part of the reason that it's the passive sourcing is that I know what's been going on at various companies. I can see some of the things that have been posted, and I can see the projects that people are working on. And so I know exactly where to go.
Yes.
But these resumes, again, like, people are getting like, if you're looking for a job right now, make sure that you're searchable with some of the skills and the projects that you're working on, and don't try to be too cute. At this point, we're looking for key skills. Don't try to be cute with your language.
Don't try to be cute. Don't try to be cute.
Because I'm not going to find you, right? People are like, oh, I'm an enthusiast about
this.
That's not on the resume.
Let me tell you something. This is a great. So Olivia just sent this to me from Boston, just to show me there's snow and it's rainy and snowy in Boston today. Today, if you're sourcing, today is a good day to reach out to people in the New England area and say, would you like to consider our opportunity in Tennessee, in New
In
Mexico,
Florida.
in Florida, in Texas? Would you like to consider our role? Because today you might catch somebody on that passive source who's like, you know what? How much you give me for relo? I'm getting out of here. It's April 4th and I got snow coming down. I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm telling you,
Mm-mm.
you have to look at some other factors other than just job title. What's happening economically? You're talking about companies as well. There's plenty of companies laying people off. Build searches where you're looking for job history that's connected to this company recently that's doing layoffs. Hurry up and scoop those people up before they get scooped by somebody else.
And this is so frustrating to me when people are like, oh my gosh, this company had it. Did you hear somebody had a big layoff? It's like, dude, layoffs that are big in scale legally are announced like 2 months in advance. You can
Yes.
look and find them. You know that the company is going to be laid off. You could reach out and ask people if they heard about the layoff, because even if they're going to be surviving of the layoff, people are looking, right, when something
Yeah.
has like that has to happen. I love this from Nikki, the numbers on LinkedIn and their resumes. Yes, you put your numbers on it, what you've done, what you've built, what you've created. Also, the type of company that you are looking for, right? Make sure you put on there like that, or the company that you work for, if it's a SaaS company, if it's an HR tech company, if it's a, like fintech or martech, like put it out there, because those are the things that sourcers are looking for. It makes it easier to find those candidates.
And people want to be scooped up. Look at what Nicole put here. Yes, please scoop us up. Nicole, you remind, and I know we say this quite a bit, but if you are with us today, first of all, we're so grateful that you're watching and spending time. Hopefully, you've got us on in the background while you're doing some other work. We love that. But please, and even after the fact, if you're watching after we're live, please share in the comments if you're looking for a role, what you're looking for. Make sure your LinkedIn profile link is in there
Connect with each
as well.
other.
Connect. Absolutely. One of my favorite ways, and again, you and I both have, know this about each other, but specifically earlier on in my career, and it's had moments of movement throughout my career journey. I've had my hand in hospitality related businesses, restaurant, hotel, spa, and
Retail.
those kinds of services, retail. I cannot tell you how many times I have been a customer somewhere and I have a great experience, and I will turn to the server or bartender or customer service retail associate or whoever it is and say, thank you so much. Great experience. Just curious. Would you be open to a conversation about a potential role at an organization that I'm working with or that I work for? I really appreciated the way that you handled our experience here this evening. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a bartender say, I would absolutely be open to a conversation. Yes. And I follow up, right? Have a phone call. Sometimes I'll meet up with a person at a coffee shop or whatever and have like an interview. And I've
Y'all,
hired.
Jim D'Amico, right?
Yes.
Jim
Yes.
D'Amico at Seabourn Cruises. Listen, every
Yes.
recruiter in town is using them as their retirement plan, planning on working on a cruise. He
We are.
pitches
We
working
are.
on a cruise. Yeah, absolutely. And he sent us a discount list. Hey,
Yes.
let that cruise. Like, let me tell you about sourcing. If you go and you see Jim D'Amico doing a presentation, he
Go.
shows all the slides, and then he'll say at the end, I took all these pictures in the background while I was on a cruise. And you're like, what? I want to go, because there are these beautiful
Yes.
pictures and all these different things that he does. He's always sourcing. And I think that that's something that we need to consider too, especially as you're building these relationships, even if you're not looking today. And if you're looking and you're a recruiter and you've been unfortunately laid off, you still need to build your bench,
Yeah.
right? You're still trying to put those things out there to build and network those relationships, but don't just do it online. Connect. I mean, I Rachel just posted something. It was so wonderful, and I was humbled with her beautiful words and something that she had shared yesterday on LinkedIn.
I
But the
saw it.
story started, I met her when we were both looking for a job. That's when I met Rachel Couples. And we had phone conversations and we connected and we became friends. And as soon as I got an opportunity, I knew I was going to hire Rachel Couples. That was like the goal, was to be
Yeah.
able to do that, because
Yes.
and we were able to work together for 2
You know you're
years.
going to make her cry. She can't watch us live today. She said she's watching us later when she's on a flight. So when she lands, she's going to
Yes,
watch
so
it.
I can
Yeah.
talk. I can talk about her now, which, yeah, she's gonna see her mama. But I'm telling you, like, that started through that relationship, and I remembered that. I will never forget that. That's how we came together, and then we were able to impact and change each other's lives in that way. And there's lots of people like that that I've been able to do that. Even there are people that are working with people that I've connected, that I've met from someplace else, because it is all, we were talking, and this sounds really silly, but we were talking, me and my oldest, who's in Brooklyn, international super fashion model. So anyway,
Fabulous.
we were talking, they've been doing music, and somebody in France asked them to do some music for them, which is a whole nother deal. So I was like, the thing that's really interesting is if you go online, right, you think
Clay.
about like Biggie and Lil Kim and all of these different people, they were all friends. Like, it's like,
Yes.
oh, it's a miracle. No, they were all friends.
Yep.
They're all connected and they all helped each other and they get those jobs. A
Yes.
lot of people are connected. And so you really want to network and make sure you're networking in the industry that you are interested in.
This is the relational component. This is so good, right? If you, as a recruiter sourcer, say, I know I'm going to join all of these groups on LinkedIn, through various Slack channels, other Reddit threads, whatever these online opportunities are, great. Because I know if I join them, I'm going to have access to a group of people. Totally understand that. Makes sense. Great. If all you're doing in terms of your interaction there is just trying to scoop people up, and it's that transactional only, you won't be as successful as if you are a relational contributor to the group. You can't just let your post be, hey, I'm hiring for this. Hey, who knows this? Hey, if it's that kind of engagement, that gets old quick for people. You're not really a part of the community. So exactly to your point, like, there's something relational that has to happen with it. So share information in the group. Give of yourself in those groups as well. Don't let it always be, I need.
That's right.
Because that doesn't win people over.
I wish somebody, one of those 50 million people in my in that hit me in my DMs would say, "Hey, what kind of things can I help you with this week?" Or what are you
Uh,
working on this weekend? Or how, something besides, a pitch, because people pitch all day long. It is the human component that's different that makes me want to start having the conversation.
it needs to be that way. And that's where I think, you said, Jim D'Amico, I think look for people who are sharing real down and dirty perspectives on this area, like Jim, like Jerry Crispin, like Steve Levy, like Jim Durbin Jim put up yesterday, I want to say Grok. Does that sound right? Now I'm going to forget. GROK. That he's like, hey, check this AI tool out, more so than just Chat GPT or whatever. Like, this is how it could work for your sourcing. The people are sharing. All he could do all day long is say, I need this, I need this, I need this. But he's putting out their tools and saying, look, I'm sharing what I know.
Yes.
This is what I know. Here, I'm making a contribution to the community. And those kinds of folks, if you can hear from them, do it as much as possible, right? There are recruiters who have been in the game a long time, could really be helpful to you when it comes to sourcing. And look for
Yes.
creative ways to do it, not just online. You
No,
talked about groups, right? Like, there are groups like Chamber of Commerce. I've recruited people from the chamber, right? It's been a while.
Been a while.
But I just mean, like, even our like for HR roles and like your local SHRM chapter or payroll roles or recruiter roles
Right.
or things like being involved with your local SHRM chapter or HR, local organization. I know Chamber, for instance, typically has an HR subgroup. Like if there's ways for you to be connected in that way, do it, because that's another vein of sourcing for you. That's
Right.
relational.
That's right. I think you're right. And I feel like there's other things. What you say?
I said thank you. I try to be right once in a
Uh,
while. Not
every once in a while, you're right. You were right when you picked that tie, though.
You should see.
I
I
really
don't have
love
my
it.
jacket. Look at these. Look at the color of the pant with this tie. And I mean, I look good
What
today.
socks do you have on? Do you have
I do.
socks?
Yes.
You need some more fun socks. Remember that sock store we went to in
I know.
San Diego?
I can't do all the fun socks all the time. I don't know these people that well, and I thought that might be off-putting if I wore I had my pink flamingo socks that I could have worn today, but I was like, I think that may push them over the edge. I don't want to necessarily do that, right?
Right. Right.
Are you
Well,
finding, by the way, are you finding particular industries being more difficult to source for today, either than ever before, or for another reason that it's just tougher to source for a particular industry right now?
I think it's really just I really do see the difference in generations. It is a different world of where you got in on the way that you communicate. I think is divided on generational lines, and there are ways that I think like that people are just don't do well. You know, especially if you're doing the younger generation, emojis mean something different to different generations. Um,
Yes.
and some of are just like to me might be wildly inappropriate at 50, which is completely appropriate at like 30. I think that part is difficult and knowing when to be able to do it. Like I think a lot of people older might not think that Instagram makes sense because it's like all personal. I don't want to touch stuff that's all personal. And it's like, no, people a lot of people use that like we used to use AOL Messenger. They just
Yes.
use chats. Like they don't
Yes.
care if you even, and you don't have to look at all this stuff to know, just to send them a note. Like I think that part is difficult in trying to source in that respect. And the noise, like you really have to get your subject line together. You really have, if you're gonna do email, and that's the way you're gonna do it,
Such a good
you
point.
have to know how to do it. And also ask people to opt in. I ask people, hey, is it okay if I send you a text message? If they want to opt in, get permission. Don't spam. But I have other candidates that want. Somebody told me the other day. There's this recruiter that I've been working with from an agency that sends me text messages, and it's so hard for me. They're like, you respond on text. You respond faster on text. It's like because I want it off because I don't want
Yes.
to do work
Yes.
on my. This is I want to do it a different way. So I
SMS
think that's
message so valuable. I mean, I know that we're talking about online, but that is another vein of the text messaging is absolutely a quicker response than email. So if you're bound and determined to do only written word, outreach, then you got to look into text messaging, and you need to. You're exactly right. Like you have to be really thoughtful around your messaging and how to make it succinct, but like something that will capture people's attention, right? As opposed to
yeah.
just deleting or block and report, because that's super easy to do as well now. It's just, you hit two buttons and basically you're blocked, forever. I think the follow-up
Forever.
forever. The follow-up is also important. One of the things I know you and I do in terms of another how is if I try to connect with someone, or I should say, connect with someone and say, hey, I took a look at your background and I've got this position that's available. Really would love to talk to you about this role. I think there might be, even if it doesn't go anywhere, it might help me to know your background a little bit more for something else that may come up. And I've had people come, respond and say, hey, thanks so much. I'm really not interested. I really appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not really interested. I love that someone has responded to at least even tell me they're not interested. I respond to that person and say, thank you so much for responding. I know you didn't have to. If it's okay with you, I'll just keep you in mind then for something perhaps down the road that I think might be of interest. I absolutely don't want to waste your time. So thanks for letting me know about this role. Like, I'm keeping the door open to say, I'd like to stay in touch with you, and then mark that record accordingly in your, whatever you're using for a CRM or whatever your system is, as far as keeping your records. Mark that contact as such, that they replied, that you will keep in touch with them, keep them warm, send them a note every 4 months, or, whatever you think is appropriate for your flow, because engineers don't want to be bothered every month. They are bothered incessantly. So don't add to that. Like, be deliberate about it, and then let them know if it's okay with you. I'd like to touch base with you in another 3 months just to see how things are going. Be specific in that regard. I think that will help you a ton.
And do a cadence. I always say do a regular cadence. Do it for 6 months. Just do it for 6 months. Do it for a year, every other month. Um,
Yep.
Let them know, hey, I'm going to send something to you every other month. There's a couple of different things that we've been working on. I just thought you might be interested. I feel like I should text everybody because I had a surprise this week. I don't know if you saw it. We changed our logo at Textio.
I saw it briefly, but I didn't. I didn't read any
Scribble.
further.
Scribble.
And you like it?
Scribble. I like it.
Okay. I
Scribble.
wasn't sure.
It's a highlight. Like, in Textio, if you use the
Yes.
product, you highlight the words, or so it looks like a bunch of different highlighters. I'm excited because it's a new day. We're doing new things. I'm nervous
Yeah.
because I'm a who moved my cheese person, and I'm neurodiverse, so I don't know what this means, and I can't find the font.
I'm not laughing
So
for
it
nerves.
takes a couple
I'm
days.
laughing at who moved my cheese. Who moved my cheese?
I am a who moved my cheese person. I'm just like, oh my God, like, who changed my logo?
You talked about that woman who did the phone, how to phone screen. How about all those sessions we went to on Who Moved My Cheese? Good night, nurse. Holy cow.
God, oh my God. If you ever had to go to Who Moved My Cheese class, put it in the chat. I swear to God. I think I have it somewhere.
I still have my binder somewhere, I'm sure. Or maybe in the move, we got rid of it finally. Listen, I kept my dad's. So my dad did diversity training for Macy's. And he has it all on VCR, all the tapes and stuff. And I kept all of that. I have the VCR tapes.
Let me show you something.
Isn't that funny?
Todd found that. I love that. Todd found this. I was so embarrassed. I have to show you.
Oh, Jeremy Roberts, the cheese conversation was annoying. Hi, buddy. Good to see you.
I'm sure he had to look at this. This
We
was
all
my sourcing book. This was one of my sourcing book when I was at Tech Partners. They don't.
Look, first of all, let me just say this. Everyone, that's a binder, because I know not everybody. That's a binder. That's what that is. Yes.
It talks about how to use send outs. If y'all remember, send outs used to be like one of the original ATS. What else is in this? It was like literally my first recruiting book. Oh, how to build a mini profile. How to do a profile. Here's a whole module on interview training. Lord Jesus,
Let me tell you something. Some of you all may remember, there was send out cards as a business that I did tie into the sourcing that we were doing, and I could have personal notes that were in my handwriting, which we thought was big stuff. And that this company send out cards would send out a note on my behalf.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Yes.
You're going to love this. This is cracking me up. This is talking about how to have a phone conversation. And this is what when we're talking about this, these are the things that we're talking about that people don't do. It's the prospect match call. It says, hi, I have an opportunity that matched your skill set. And then it says, identified career wound. That sounds so sad. Last time we talked,
we can't be therapists. We can't be therapists. That makes me a little scary.
My goal is to make sure I'm not wasting your valuable time. Last time you said you wanted a job like this. Do you still want that? I mean, like, these are the things that people don't do. And then it says when you're done, add candidate to your hot list. People don't have hot lists.
I want to tell you something, and I know I'm going to get some hate mail for this. The vast majority of people in their early career years have not been taught how to communicate effectively. I'm sorry, they haven't. And if you're hiring people
No.
in a role like recruitment sourcing, the assumption that they are going to have an intuitive nature as to how they should
No.
relate with others is wrong. Don't assume that. We really do
No.
have to teach people. We really,
I'm
really do.
telling you, like the way I get so frustrated when people don't package their candidates when they're sending you candidates on
Yes.
why do I want this candidate with the attachment of
You
their
do an
resume,
excellent
maybe
job
their
at that.
skill set.
You
Thank
do
you.
an
You know, I
excellent
because
job.
I've sourced for you
I know. I know.
because you should be able to hire them from my package. Like it should be
You are
like
excellent at
have you ever gotten a package like I this is speaking from a place of privilege, like a box from like Saks Fifth Avenue or Neiman's or Tiffany's, like you know when you get the box,
yeah.
you are opening it. There's like a ribbon. There's a but whatever it is, you love it, and then you open it. If you're me, that's when the privilege ends. You're like, oh, hmm.
It's,
like oh, keychain.
I love the keychain. I was just gonna
Right,
say keychain. That's awesome.
right. It's like, thank you,
Oh, a
mommy.
Tiffany
Um,
paperclip. This is
right,
beautiful.
right. It's a paper clip. Love that. Made out of sterling. Thanks. Um, but when you do it, it's like you know that from the packaging that it is of value. Like we were just talking about, that's really the expectation. We were talking about imagine if you went from one brand to another brand. Like if you went to Nike and you went to like Adidas and you're looking at that, you're bringing information with you. There's an expectation though when you go to these companies that comes before you, right? And so sometimes you want to break that to stand out as an individual. And you can do that. It's simple to be a recruiter, to be a top recruiter at your company just from the packaging. You didn't do anything extra special.
Yes.
Take the
Yes.
extra step because it'll, especially if you get paid for candidate for all of our agency recruiters out there. I'm telling
Yes.
you,
Yes. If you're doing contingent recruitment, you want it to be packaged really, really well because your payment is based on placement. Like you want it to make sense. And it's not, by the way, I want to make sure I defend Jackie for a second. She didn't package these candidates in like an untrue way. It wasn't that she was
no,
selling anything. It's real flow of thought as to what I led this, kind of conversation that I have with this person, how they tick the boxes of some of the things employer that you're looking for, like where to
and
pick up
answer
the
the question that they're gonna have, like any objections that stand out, like this person doesn't have 5 years of experience, but they manage three people in their last four roles. You know, like
right,
those.
right.
The thing is like I'm saving you time. Like
Yes.
I swear to God, somebody said I was like I rejected a candidate. I took the time to let them know that we were looking for people with startup experience. Their response was like, all these companies that I worked at were startups. Bitch, if I have to look up every single company and it's causing me to, if you think, right, let me tell you how this would have worked better. The top three companies I looked at, none of those were startups. And I'm done at that point. I'm done.
Oh my
I'm done.
gosh. I want
Right?
to be
And
on
so you
those
can package yourself.
calls.
I
Yes.
can't. If you're a candidate, package yourself. That's why I'm like, let people know I come from a SaaS background and don't lie about it. So many people they say I worked at a startup. I'm not talking about Frank's muffler is not a startup. Like tell people
I mean,
about your
Frank
background and what
feels
you
that it
did.
is, though. Let's not belittle Frank. Frank may feel that his muffler shop is a startup, and
Yeah.
that's okay. He is
And
starting.
that's okay.
I get
You can
it.
just put that. We do understand. I this thing was
But
so
I'm
old
going
that
to
I
say to
had
you, if
yeast in
you're
my.
spending more time, if you're an individual and you're spending all your time reaching out to your 5,000 connections on LinkedIn, asking them to write a recommendation for you on your LinkedIn profile about a particular skill, keep that in check. You don't need 5,000 people to say that you have leadership skills. Come on. No recruiter is reading all of those things. They're just not.
That's right.
So if you
That's right.
have a few, great. Run with the few you have. Instead, put your efforts into just, I think what Jackie was just sharing in terms of, unless you're doing it for another reason, most people don't really identify well under each role that they've had, if you're going to lean into something like LinkedIn, what those demonstrative skills were, how you used competencies in a particular way for the work that you were doing. Those kinds of things are going to help with some of the sourcing that's going to go on, so that can be cross-referenced. If
And
you were
answer the question, the other part, because it's annoying. Like, that's the thing that's annoying. We're like, I'm perfect for their job. And when I go into the job, it's like, you were a pool salesman, and I specifically asked for this type of experience. So if you still think you're perfect, it doesn't look like it, tell me why you're perfect. Align your
yes,
skills with the job, because I don't see it, right? And
you may
I
need
don't
to
have
do
the
a cover
luxury.
letter. I'm going to say it. You may need to do a
That's right.
cover
I
letter
said that,
to tell that story. To tell the
that's
story that
right.
you just did. It may not be obvious. Don't be
That's right.
afraid.
That's right.
Don't be
I got
afraid
to
of the
tell
cover.
you, by the way, next
My
week,
gosh,
I
we're
don't
already
know
out.
if I can meet next week. I know.
Why?
I don't know. I might be a little bit late. I'm going to be in a little mini trip. I'm going to do it. I think I should be okay. But I'll
We'll
be
figure it out.
coming to you live from a
If
spirit.
not, yes, right, Nikki. That's what a cover letter is for. No kidding. I know some people feel some sort of way about cover letters. I get
No,
you.
I read them.
I get it. But to Jackie's point, if you got to tell the story, where are you going to tell the story? That's the place to tell the story. That's the place.
That's right.
Y'all, I
We're already at
apologize for
time.
being a few minutes late. I'm so sorry, but I will get this technology down one day. I'm going to have the young kids show
We're
me how I
not.
should do it
And we're
better.
not. One day, honestly, one day we will actually like stop using
We
them
just need
and
to
use a
own our
better
studio.
source.
We just need to own our own studio. That's the answer right
Jamie,
here.
work on that. Jamie,
Jamie,
make sure
by
that,
next
you
week.
know.
And again, I am a workplace MVP.
That's right. Love
Have a
y'all.
good day.
Bye.